Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I hope all of you are doing good. For those of you who are watching me, please make sure to write in the chat box if the audio part is clear and screen is visible to all of you. I do have background music playing in the background, so if it's too loud, please make sure to let me know in the chat box. I hope all of you are doing good. All good, perfect. Um, let's just wait for like one more minute and then we would start. All clear, sir. Perfect. By the way, if you guys have any questions, anything that you would like me to talk about, please make sure to once again write in the chat box. I have uh, the chat box open in front of me, so yeah, I would be reading the chat as well. Good morning. Uh, For those of you who are watching me once again, please make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Almost 50% of the people who watch these live streams, they are not subscribed to the YouTube channel. So please make sure to do that. And yeah, please make sure to like the live stream as well. And if you're not following me over Twitter, my Twitter handle is Sherlock. Please make sure to go to Twitter. All the links, the link to my Twitter account and the link to our Discord server, both of these links, they are right below in the description. Please make sure to join the Discord server. I share my daily analysis, my updates, and all of these calls, etc., in my Discord server. And then also, I share regular analysis over my Twitter account as well. So yeah, please make sure to follow me over Twitter and join the Discord server as well. Soul, please. Yeah, I would be looking at all of these charts one by one. Uh, first of all, we need to talk a little bit about BTC, right? Because we have FOMC coming up tomorrow, and this, in my personal opinion, is going to be one of the most important events because we have monthly candle closing coming up just tomorrow. Then we have FOMC, and then we have so many events coming up in the next, like, a month or two. So these few events, they are going to basically lay the foundation for what exactly the price action could look like in the upcoming 4 to 5 months. We would be looking at a few price predictions as well, like for example, where exactly BTC could go. If you would open up the crypto Twitter space, you would hear predictions like 200k, 300k, 500k. So yeah, we would be looking at these targets as well and how exactly we can predict these targets. First of all, let's start with the fundamentals. I usually, whenever I start with these updates, I always take a look at the structure part, but I would like to, just quickly take some time to discuss the fundamentals as well. So first of all, just to inform you guys, we have a BTC spot trade open for which the entry was at 59,000. We have a BTC long trade open for which the entry was at 64,000, somewhere around like 64,130. We have already taken almost like 3 TPs on this long position, and then we have another long position and price is almost at the entry. Only the first entry has been tagged so far. We have not taken any TP. So for those of you who are watching me and they have not placed the entries for this long position, please make sure to do that. The first entry, it's right at 66,000. This is our first entry, although there are all the chances that price could retrace down a little bit. We would be talking about all the details that what exactly is holding the price around in this region. For example, the quarterly VWAP, as you can see, the quarterly VWAP on the 4 hour time frame is exactly where the price is sitting at. But yeah, anyways, we would be talking about all of these things one by one. But first of all, let me try to explain to you the fundamentals a little bit as well. Obviously, we would be talking about this in terms of technicals as well, this in terms of support and resistance as well. For example, if you would look at this rejection part, although, let me clear this thing up straight, that I still believe, although the trend is absolutely clear, I still believe that, a target for this uptrend, it should be these 72k highs. So as long as price does not break and close below 63,400 or 63,300, a 4 hour candle close below, the structure, it's absolutely bullish and we need not to worry about anything. This was a very same thing. If you would go to my Twitter account, you would see this post right here. I posted this back on 28th of July, that I would be surprised if BTC doesn't go back to 65.5k and fails to bounce there. So this was my analysis. We have already gone down to almost like 65.8k. We are still to tag 65.5k region, but I posted this when price was trading somewhere around like $69,000, 69,500. And I still believed that, this retracement, it should be happening, and the retracement wave, it should be ending somewhere around in this zone, 65.4k, 64.5k, in this $1,000 zone. That's where our entries also are placed, because there are so many confluences around in this region. You talk about order block, you talk about fair value gap, you talk about these dynamic lines, and you talk about the rest of the confluences. I would be mentioning all of these one by one. But talking about fundamentals, price just yesterday, it was trading somewhere around $69,000, $70,000 region. Although I would explain in terms of chart as well that why exactly price got rejected from this area. As you can see, we have this very beautiful trend line being drawn. Obviously, price got rejected from this trend line. But if you talk about fundamentals, if you are someone who believes in fundamentals and would like me to talk about fundamentals specifically, then just yesterday, there was news that the news came in that US government, they transferred $2 billion worth of Bitcoin, somewhere around like 30,000 Bitcoins from one of their wallets. And that's how, the market participants, I have always been saying this thing that the crypto market, it's relatively immature market, it's relatively new market, it's relatively illiquid market in comparison to the rest of the financial markets. So many times you would have seen that the news, it's not bad itself, but the reaction to the news, it's so immense. It's mainly because, the market participants, the crypto community, most of them are, I'm sorry to say this thing, but the most people, they are simply just degenerates. For example, if you take the example of, the stock market or the rest of the financial market, like the forex market, the mentality of the people, it's absolutely different. All of those, even people who are sober enough, even people who are experienced enough in the rest of the financial markets, they would be hearing the reputation about the crypto market, and they would be saying that I want to make some quick money. I would just want to get rich quick. I just want to get rich overnight. That's the mentality of the people here in the crypto community. And that's why many times you would have seen that the news itself, it's not that bad. But at the same time, the reaction to the news, it's so immense, and it's so, it's so immense, and it's so, fast that, sometimes you wonder what exactly is happening. Let me give you an example of this. We just like 2 to 3 days ago on Saturday, we had Trump talking about, talking in the Bitcoin conference, right? His speech, it was absolutely bullish. And prior to him speaking in the Bitcoin conference, every single person was saying that if he doesn't say anything about the strategic reserves, if he does not say anything about if he doesn't say anything bullish, then market obviously would be dumping, right? That event happened. His speech, it was absolutely bullish. The things he said, for example, never sell your Bitcoin. He talked about US. He said that if he gets elected, the US government would definitely not be selling the 200,000 Bitcoin. For those of you who don't know, US government, it's one of the largest entities, right? The largest one obviously is Grayscale. Then we have a few other organizations. For example, we have MicroStrategy, and then we have US government as well. For those of you, once again, who don't know, US government holds somewhere around 200,000 BTC, 200,000 Bitcoin. Which they confiscated from, confiscated from, Silk Road, back in like 2013-14. So they still have 200,000 Bitcoin, the value of which is absolutely, big. So Trump basically announced on Saturday that if he gets elected, then the US government, they would be building a strategic reserve, and they are not going to sell any of the Bitcoin that they are holding. Market obviously, from time to time has anticipated that, what exactly would be happening if US government starts selling all of those 200,000 Bitcoin, right? So, the news obviously was bullish. He talked about many other things as well, and all of those things were almost bullish. And then later on, we saw a negative reaction happening in the market. And I was just going through my Twitter. I was just going through my Twitter feed, and the most of the people were saying that, okay, this is basically bearish news. Why? Because they were saying that, okay, this is bearish news because they don't want politicians being involved in the crypto, because this would bring regulations, this would bring some regulatory influence and all those things. So I absolutely do not understand the mentality of these people, that prior to him speaking about all these things, they were saying that if he does not say anything bullish, then market obviously is going to dump. And when he said all of those bullish things, these market participants, they were like that, okay, this is bearish news because we don't want any sort of politicians being involved in crypto, we don't want any sort of regulatory influence, we don't want governments being involved. So that's why I say that the news itself, sometimes it's not bad, but it's a reaction which is sometimes surprising, and the way that the news is being perceived by different categories of audiences. You have people with a gambling mindset, you have people who have long-term investments, and you have all these different categories of people. I'm not saying that these people, they do not exist in the rest of the financial markets, but the number and the crypto community, it's immense. And that's mainly because this financial market, it's relatively new in comparison to the rest of the financial assets, right? The community is relatively new, and people, they are basically impatient. The volatility, it's generally very high. Every now and then you would see that a coin goes like 100%, 200%, 300% up. I'm not talking about shitcoin, they would go like 1000x just in a matter of few hours. How often do you see the same thing happening in the stock market, or in the most liquid market like the forex market? Obviously these things are non-existent there, but this happens every now and then in the crypto community, and that's why people generally have that gambling mindset. But yeah, this was basically the news that triggered this sell-off as soon as price touched the 70k region. Since the US government, they transferred some 30,000 Bitcoin, the value for which was somewhere around like $2 billion. They transferred to one of their own wallets, and that's how the people anticipated that maybe a sell-off is coming. We are not sure about how exactly this would be further rolling in, but this was basically the anticipation. That's how markets saw a reaction happening at 70,000, and we just immediately dropped down to 65,000, 66,000. It could basically be because of the security reasons, because they cannot have all of their Bitcoin in just one wallet. They from time to time move all of these assets from one wallet to the other. So yeah, it could just be anything. It's still too early to say what possibly could be the reason for this transfer. But just to let you know, we have FOMC coming up tomorrow, 31st of July. It's going to be a very important event, because the market is anticipating, as of now, as of today, as of 30th of July, market is anticipating that there is almost 96 to 97% probability that the rate cuts would be happening in September. These probabilities, they are obviously updated with every single day, but there is 96-97% probability that the rate cuts that have not happened for the past 1 year or so, they would be happening this September. And this obviously is going to be a very bullish news for the risk assets. We already have seen during the last month CPI numbers that the inflation, it is going down. The inflation numbers are down to 2.5%, which means that the Fed, they would have a very nice reason, they would have a good reason to cut rates in September. Okay, the rate cuts obviously are not happening this time in August. The probability of rate cuts, if I'm not wrong, I have not checked the updated data, but it's only at around like 6%, 7%. So the rate cuts, they're not happening in August, but they're definitely happening as per the market sentiment. As per the probabilities that I have seen, there is like 96-97% probability the rate cuts would be happening in September. So it's a very bullish timeline. You have the future president talking about Bitcoin strategic reserve. You have the rate cuts happening in September, which is absolutely bullish news for the risk assets. You have BTC, just like 8 to 9% down from its new all-time, from making the new all-time high. So yeah, overall, it's a very good timeline in my personal opinion. Then let's talk about. So this is the fundamental picture, right? So even if US government start selling their Bitcoin, in my personal opinion, the news itself, it may sound bad, just like we saw happening with the MT Gox news. The redistributions, they've already started happening. Almost 60% of Bitcoin, they have already been distributed, to the people who were affected with the hack, back in 2014. And mind you, this was probably the biggest fear of the crypto community, right? This has been probably the worst nightmare of the crypto community for the past, 10 years or so. Every single time, they would say that, okay, they are going to distribute Bitcoin back to the creditors, the empty Gox effectees. And every time you heard this news, 2-3 years ago, the market would immediately just start dumping. So this was probably the worst nightmare. And in my opinion, once again, the news itself, it was bad. It was not that bad, but it was being perceived as extremely bad. And now, almost 60% distributions have already happened, and we are seeing a very minimal reaction happening. That obviously has to do with the ETF demand as well. Although for the past, for the past 24 hours, we have seen the major outflows happening from the spot ETF, BTC spot ETF. We, ended this 3-day streak. But overall, the average inflows into the Bitcoin spot ETFs, they have been extremely good, which means that, the overall timeline of all this is actually very good. Okay, so, this live stream, it's going to be very important one. And I would request all of you to, once again, please make sure to like the live stream. Please make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, because, in this live stream, we would be talking about the what possibly could be the new all-time high. Now, this is a very important question, and I'm warning you over this. I'm warning you over this thing that, obviously you would never really get a clear indication that, okay, this is the new all-time high. So, it's going to be, and you would never really be able to precisely, you would never really be able to precisely identify what exactly is the all-time high for this cycle. But, there would be slight indications, and I'm warning you that it could just be happening very soon. We are already in this bullish cycle, and we are very quickly headed towards the cycle top. And in the worst case scenario, I have seen this thing. I've said this thing from time to time that in the worst case scenario, it could be somewhere around like $80,000 to $85,000. Now, how exactly I came up with this number, $80,000 to $85,000, I would be telling you, it's perfectly possible using the previous fractal that we have seen that have successfully predicted the last, the previous cycle's bottom. So yeah, we would be using those fractals to predict what exactly could be the new all-time high. In the worst case scenario, in my personal opinion, it's going to be $80,000 to $85,000, and in the best possible scenario, it's going to be somewhere around $120,000. In my opinion, I'm not someone who, just like the other people would say that it's going to $0.5 million, it's going to 200K to 50K. I'm talking in terms of very, realistic expectations that it's going to be somewhere around, in my personal opinion, somewhere around $120,000 or $85,000 in the worst case scenario. Okay, so let's talk about the chart part, right? By the way, once again, we have a spot position open, the entry for which was at $59,000. We have already taken almost 2 TPs on this position. We have a leverage long position open from 64,000. We have already taken 3 TPs on this position, and now this is a third long position. And if you have not entered into this position, you can do so. The first entry, it's at $66,000, and for the rest of the entries, you can simply just go to my Twitter account and you can search for the BTC second long setup, and you would find the entries there. So if we talk about the structure part, we have already discussed this thing over and over again during the previous live streams also. The structure change happened back on 10th of July. So the structure, it's absolutely bullish. We are continuously making these higher highs and higher lows. And one confusion I would like to clear immediately, okay, because, I saw that many people were saying, during the Trump speech, when price dropped below this area, when price dropped below this low, I guess, yeah, so when price was dropping below this low, many people were saying that the structure shift has happened, or the market structure has changed from being bullish to being bearish. Okay, let me clear this thing up straight. Market structure, first of all, it's not something that I would be able to explain in one lecture. I would try my best. We are already working and uploading the educational content over my YouTube channel. We are already working on this thing. I would probably upload a complete series on how to identify the market structure. But just to give you guys a slight idea, in order to mark these break of structure and change of character points, you need to be able to precisely differentiate between a corrective wave and the impulsive waves, right? Identifying an impulsive wave is relatively easier in comparison to the corrective wave or the retracement wave. So in this case, lot many people who were saying that this is a valid break of structure and this was a valid break below the low and this is a valid change of character, I was saying at that time that this is not a valid change of character and this is simply just a retracement wave. And that's how we successfully took this long position and we saw price going from 64,000 all the way up to 69,000. Once again, the reason for this was because, in order to identify a proper retracement wave, you need to look at a candle which creates a new high, and then the next candles without creating a new high need to sweep the low of that candle. For example, in this case, once again, I would not go into the extreme details of that because this is not a lecture about market structure and it could get a little bit boring, because, I teach a lot many students. I have 100 plus students registered in my mentorship, and, people, all of them, the most difficult thing they find out about the mentorship is a market structure series. So it's not an easy topic. So I would not go once again into the details of that, but just to give you an idea, this was the candle. If I zoom in a little bit, this was the candle that created the high. And the next few candles swept the low of this candle. But the important point to notice here is that, you see just a small confusion and you may start believing that the market structure shift has happened. Okay. Just a small confusion and you may start believing that the market structure shift has happened, but that was not really the case. Because if you would look at this candle, this was the candle that created the high, and the next few candles, they need to sweep the low of that candle that created the new high without creating another new high. But in this case, the last part of the statement, it was not met. This was the candle that created the new high. The next candles, they sweep the low of that candle, but at the same time, the candle that swept the low of this candle also created a new high, which means that, just to summarize this discussion, this was not a valid change of character. The structure shift did not happen. The structure still remains bullish. It remained bullish back on 20th of July as well. Nothing really has changed and nothing really is going to change until and unless we get a complete 4-hour candle close below $63,400 region. I'm repeating my words over and over again. Anybody telling you that the market structure shift has happened, the trend now it's being bearish, market has continuously started making these lower lows, lower highs, please do not pay attention to all this noise. I was the one mentioning this over and over again that the structure shift has not happened. The structure, I have spent like 6 to 7 years of my life looking at these charts. I daily spend like, 15 to 16 hours looking at these charts. So even if I'm not able to identify the structure correctly, then I don't really know who would be able to do that. Obviously, I'm not saying that I'm a pro in this, but at least I have, spent enough time on these charts to be able to correctly identify what a market structure, what a bullish structure looks like, or what a bearish structure looks like. And for me, this is absolutely a bullish structure. As long as we do not break and close below $63,400 region, if we get a 4-hour candle close below this area, then obviously the structure shift would have happened, and we would say that this uptrend now it's being invalidated and now it has changed into a downtrend. But until and unless that does not happen, we still have the opportunity, just like we had the opportunities in this downtrend. If you guys remember some of my previous live streams, the ones that we did almost like, 10th of July, 7th of July, I was saying that, in this downtrend, all you had to do was just be able to identify the impulsive and the corrective waves correctly. Then take out your Fibonacci retracement tool and decide, where exactly you would be taking the entry. If it's a strong trend, then you have to decide if you wish to take entry at 38.2% fib level or 50% fib levels. If it's not a very strong trend, then you would probably be saying that the retracement, they're slightly deeper. So let's take the entry at 61.8% or 70.5% fib level. If you would ask me personally, I'm using fibs a lot. For me, even if the trend is strong or even if it's weak, I would still always be sticking to 65% fib level and 70.5% fib level. That's where I would wish to see price retracing down to. And that's exactly, what happened during the previous wave. This was your start of impulsive wave. This was your end of impulsive wave, and price retraced down to this area. And this was a region of so many other confluences because you had a very good support area, 4-hour support. Then if you would turn on these dynamic lines, you had quarterly and yearly VWAP, around in the very same zone. I always say this thing that whenever quarterly and the yearly VWAP, they are, for example, crossing each other, whenever they are perfectly aligned with each other in one direction, and if a price, if a price bounce or price rejections happen around in that zone, then obviously it's a very great confluence. So in this case, we had the 4-hour support, we had quarterly VWAP, we had yearly VWAP, and then we had, if you would draw the retracement wave, then we had a very beautiful retracement. Then if you would look at around here, there was a very nice 4-hour order blocks. What exactly is the definition of an order block? It was a bullish order block, by the way. A bullish order block is the last bearish candle or the last weak bullish candle before the impulsive break towards the upside, which in turn gives you a valid break of structure. This last part of the statement is probably something that the majority of the people, they fail to understand. They would simply just be saying that, okay, this is the last bearish candle before the impulsive move towards upside happened, and this is my valid order block. That's how you identify a valid bullish or bearish order block. But no, you need to see that an order block is only valid if it gives you a valid break of structure, meaning that that this is an uptrend, the sellers are present around here, the buyers are present around here. The sellers obviously would want to push the price downside, they would wish to see a lower low happening, but at the same time the buyers present around here, they would wish to see price printing a new higher high. So it's buyers versus sellers happening at this zone, and as soon as price breaks and closes below, we anticipate that, okay, the buyers, they have won this battle, which means that the bullish orders present in this zone, they were strong enough, and that's why having this break above the previous high, it's very important to decide who has actually won this battle between buyers and sellers. And only if a break and close above the previous high happens, which means a break of structure happens, only then we say that, okay, this is a bullish order block. So this bullish order blocks generally are considered valid if they are being followed by a valid fair value gap. So you had a bullish order block which was being followed by a bullish fair value gap, then you had the support zone, then you had quarterly and yearly VWAP, then you had very nice retracement happening down to 70.5, 65% fib level, and then a few other confluences, and overall it was a very good setup in my opinion. Okay, I cannot say the same thing about this one, because in this case, first of all, we do have, for example, in this case, if I just open up the other chart, it would be much more clear to you guys. Okay, so in this case, you have the 4-hour fair value gap. Okay, I still believe that price could be retracing down to at least 65.5% region. If you would look at this low, the last low, it was at 65,862, and if you would pay attention to this tweet, I'm still anticipating that the price needs to at least retrace down to 65.5% level, which is basically 65.5k level, which is basically the point of interest for me, because we have a 4-hour order block present around here, which is being followed by a 4-hour fair value gap, bullish fair value gap, which has not been filled so far. And at the same time, if you would move to the daily time frame chart, you have a very nice 50% demand zone present around here. And the invalidation obviously is this low area around here. If price breaks and closes below 63,300, we would be saying that, okay, this whole uptrend, it has basically invalidated, and the uptrend now it has reversed into a downtrend. Okay, so this was basically the reason, or this is basically the reason for taking this long trade. So the structure, if you talk about the structure part, it's absolutely bullish. Okay, price is once again continuously making these higher highs and higher lows. And once again, I'm anticipating that, sooner or later, I have been saying the same thing for the past 3 weeks almost, ever since price was down at 56,000, 57,000. I started saying this thing that, sooner or later, we have to go up to 72,000 highs. It's only a matter of time. No matter how much bullish, how much bearish, news you have, how much bearish noise you have, sooner or later, we have to go up to 72,000 high. It's happening. We have gone up to like around 70,000 region. We still fell short $2,000. But yeah, in my personal opinion, this should be the target for any uptrend, or this should be the target for any long that you would be taking right here. Okay, so this is all in terms of structure. If you look at a few other dynamic lines on the 4-hour, you are seeing small bounces happening around here because price is sitting right on this 4-hour quarterly VWAP, it's 4 hour quarterly VWAP, it's not daily quarterly VWAP. For example, on the daily time frame, the quarterly VWAP, it's sitting somewhere around the 50% demand zone, and that's why I have very carefully selected this zone, because you have 50% demand, you have 4 hour order block which is being followed by a 4 hour fair value gap, then you have this daily quarterly VWAP. The second retest, this would be the third retest, it would be if it happens. Generally I'm always giving importance to the first retest, so it's a slightly riskier trade in comparison to the previous one. Because the previous one had the first retest for the 4 hour quarterly VWAP happening, and it had slightly more number of confluences in comparison to this one, but still I believe that this is a decent confluence. And price needs to at least retrace down to 65.5k level. That's where a real reaction would be happening, because a lot many things are still pending in this zone. They are still unmitigated. For example, this fair value gap, this 4 hour order block, and once again I would be surprised if price just straight away bounces from here, although it's sitting at this quarterly VWAP. But this fair value gap, it needs to at least fill. This 4 hour order block, it at least needs to fill. I still do not think that the bounce, it would just happen straight away from here. So if you wish to be a little bit extra cautious with your entry, if you have not taken the entry yet, what you can do is that you can just go long at the second entry. All you have to do is just go to my Twitter account and search for the BTC long second setup. I have, yeah, this one. So the second entry is at 65,391. So you can place your first entry at somewhere around 65,500, because that's where in my opinion the price should be going down to, and then you can place second and third entries as per your own choice. But make sure not to go all in at just one entry. Make sure to divide your margin equally. Make sure to just spread your risk among these entries equally. Okay, so that's all about BTC. Obviously, there are few other correlated pairs that we can always look at. For example, USDT dominance in this case. As you can see, the chart for USDT dominance, by the way, it's not super clear, right? First of all, you have a downtrend going on, right? But if I would not go into the details of trend on the USDT dominance chart, but because it's slightly complicated and it would take me some time to do that. But the reason I'm not anticipating an immediate bounce happening right here, although the first reaction happened around here. You see, this is a very interesting discussion. Even if you do not understand, some of these things, please make sure to just, this live stream is happening on YouTube, right? So you can just go and watch this live stream over and over again and try to, sort of get an idea about what exactly I'm talking about, because, these are very important statements. If you look at this area around here, in terms of waves, what you could have done is that you could have simply just selected this as an impulsive wave. Okay, so this would be a start of impulsive wave and this would be an end of impulsive wave. I could have easily said just yesterday that, okay, as soon as price got rejected from 78%, 70.5% fib level on the BTC chart, price was somewhere around 67.5k. I would have said that, okay, let's take a long trade right here. But I still did not say it, because this is not a valid impulsive wave. Okay, since we are talking about in terms of market structure, you saw that the market structure looked something like this. You had an impulsive wave, you had a corrective wave, then you had impulsive wave, then you had corrective wave, you had impulsive wave, you had corrective wave, and then you had impulsive wave, something like this. But since a change of character happened around here, which was, by the way, not a very valid change of character, and we shall see if it is a valid one or not. Okay, there is still time. We cannot be 100% sure on that, but at least by the look of it, I would anticipate that this was not a valid change of character, and price should eventually go down lower, and this high or this break above, it would simply just become or these highs and these lows, they would simply just become the internal structural points. Okay, which would mean that this straight thing, this straight wave, it would be considered as one impulsive wave, and this would be considered as one corrective wave. Okay, which means that just trying to simplify this discussion a little bit. Yesterday as well, I was anticipating that price is not going to stop here. Although this was resistance area, although this was a region of quarterly and yearly VWAP, but still I somehow thought that, okay, price is not going to stop here, because this is not a valid impulsive wave. And secondly, if you would look at these imbalances, although we have filled this imbalance slightly, there is a small imbalance present around here as well. Okay, so you have a very small fair value gap present around here as well, and then you have a 4-hour resistance present around here, for which price created a very nice deviation. If I just remove this one, price created a very nice deviation around here above this level, which means that this is the wave that you should be considering as an impulsive wave, in my personal opinion. And if you would do that, you need to draw Fibonacci retracement from the start of the impulsive wave to the end of the impulsive wave, and the reaction you should be seeing when price reaches around 65%, 70.5% fib level, because that's when the price would be hitting into this resistance area, and plus price would be hitting into these Fibonacci levels as well. Okay, this is going to be the first retest of this level when price goes up, because you had the deviation move happening on USDT dominance chart. Usually whenever you see these deviation moves happening, you should get an idea that, okay, above and below a level. I have explained this in the previous live streams. What you can do is that just go and watch those live streams. You would get an idea what exactly is a deviation move and how to trade it. But normally whenever you get a deviation above a resistance level like this and price starts impulsively breaking down, you usually take a quick short position, placing a stop above this high, or you could take a short position at the retest of this zone, which means that in order to once again conclude this, there are heavy chances that price would go up in this zone. Just maybe fill out this small imbalance present around here. You have a nice imbalance present around in this area, fair value gap. Then you have Fibonacci retracement levels, Fibonacci resistance levels in this zone, and then you have this 4-hour resistance, which means that there are heavy chances that price would go up around in this zone. And once again, for those of you who don't know, the reason we are looking at the USDT dominance chart, guys, we have so many people watching this live stream, and I guess not all of you have liked the live stream. Please make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and make sure to just like the live stream as well, because this would be a lot more helpful. Anyway, so there are heavy chances that price would eventually go up to this resistance area. And the reason we are talking about the USDT dominance chart, for those of you who don't know, we always do this thing because this is exactly the mirror image of the BTC chart. The USDT dominance chart, it's basically a pair. It's basically the market capitalization of USDT stable coin. And this simply just is, you can say, a chart which is inversely or negatively correlated with the Bitcoin chart, which means that if the price on the Bitcoin chart goes up, then the price on the USDT dominance chart, it would go down. And if you are not able to, if the price action on the BTC chart, it's a bit too noisy, then what you can do is that you can simply just come to the USDT dominance chart and try to predict or try to forecast the price action on this chart, and it would simply just be reflected the very same way on the BTC chart. So we are saying that USDT dominance, it would go slightly up to this zone, which means that BTC, it would go slightly down to maybe 65.5k levels. And if a rejection on the dominance chart happens around here, a strong rejection happens around here, which means that price is being sent down to this area, 4.62% level, which is, by the way, the next 4-hour support, then there are heavy chances that price on the BTC chart would bounce from 65.5k or 65k levels, and then it would once again eventually go up to the 72k highs, and that's where we would be seeing a real reaction happening. Okay, so the dominance chart, for me as of now, it's not super clear, to be very honest. The structure, it's still too early. These are your external structure point. This is your major swing low, this is a major swing high. If price breaks and closes above this high, then a lot many things would be changed, because the structure shift on the USDT dominance chart already has happened. A 4-hour candle close above this high would mean that, okay, the trend on the BTC chart, it would be reversing very soon. Obviously, price on the BTC chart, it would break and close below 63.3k level. So yeah, we would have to be a little bit more cautious on what exactly we are doing. But as of now, I still believe that price should, this is just a retracement wave, and price should eventually go up to 72k highs, because they have not been taken out. And by the way, the reason I say this thing, although there are heavy chances, I have said this in the previous live streams as well, that the only thing that I'm basically worried about, Previously, when price was trading around 70,000, 72,000, exactly a month or two ago, I was worried about the imbalances present around the 53K support. This was my main concern. Okay. Now the price is trading around, has been around like 70,000, 69,000. If you would go and watch my previous live stream, I have said this time to time that my main concern remains very same. The first one, that the 60K support retest has not happened. This is my first main concern. I'm basically concerned that why exactly this retest has not happened. Price should have retested this zone, because if you would look at all the previous breaks, okay, the break above the 38K resistance, it was a very impulsive break, okay, which means that price eventually left so many imbalances behind. But it traded above 38K level for quite some time, back in January, back in December 2023. But then it eventually came back, filled all those imbalances, and then moved back up again. Okay. Similar was the case around here as well. There were few imbalances left behind in this zone. When price broke above 53K level, price stayed above in this zone for like 5 to 6 months. The break above happened 27th of February, but price came back, almost after 5 months, back on 5th of July, which means that for the move up, it's very important that price fills all those imbalances left behind. Okay. Uh, Once again, I still believe that 53K area, it is a, this is basically the bottom for this move. But the main thing that I'm concerned about, not immediately because we are still in uptrend, it would still be too early to say all of these, or it would still be too early to state all of these main concerns. But still, you have so many unfilled imbalances around in this zone, around 61K, around 60K. You have the order block unmitigated present around here, and then you have this untested 4-hour support or daily support area present around at 60.5K zone, which simply just remains my main concern, that what would happen if price eventually just retraces down to this zone. Because the only missing part in this story, I completely understand that I'm an analyst and I should have all the answers, but sadly that's not true, right? Um it's not possible to have all the answers. The confusion, we would still be the victim of the confusion at certain occasions, and this is one occasion in which this part of the story is something that they do not understand completely. Because if we break and close below 63.3K, the structure on the 4-hour chart, it would simply just be changed, which would mean that even if we go down to $60,000, which we should, in my personal opinion, these imbalances, they should be filled. This retest, it should be happening. But at the same time, how exactly this would be fitting into the story of the structure? Because, if this happens, the structure, it would simply just be bearish. But we shall see. It's still once again too early to predict all of these things. So far, the structure remains bullish. So far, so many confluences are present around in this zone. We have this support area, we have this support area, we have support in terms of quarterly and yearly VWAP, we have support in terms of daily zones. Okay, which means that once again, it's too early to voice all of these concerns. We should stick to what exactly is present right in front of us on the chart. There are so many things on the USDT dominance chart as well, so it's not going to be relatively easier until and unless something changes fundamentally, until unless something really bad happens fundamentally, which means that the US government, just to tease Trump, they simply just start selling all of their Bitcoin. This is going to be a very bearish news, and that's when things would just start changing quickly. Once again, the demand at this point, it's still relatively high, because we have a significant amount of inflow happening into these BTC spot ETFs, which means that all of this supply, it would just immediately be absorbed very nicely. Just like we have seen happening down at 53K when the German government was selling. They had BTC, they had like 40,000 Bitcoin at that time. But the main thing remains that how exactly the market would be reacting. Finally, I would like to have your attention towards this trend line. Okay, this is a very important trend line. We have seen price respecting this trend line at many different occasions. So far, every rejection has happened as per this trend line. This was first, second instance. This was third one, fourth one, fifth one, sixth one. So there have been quite a few instances in which price has, faced significant rejection, below this trend line. But eventually, even if we go back up and trade something like this, when price returns back to this zone, this trend line, it would just be perfectly aligned with, in my opinion, the 72k highs. Okay, although I would love to see price breaking above the 72k highs eventually, but once again, 72k highs, they remain a first target. Okay, so this trend line, this remains a major resistance area. But the reason, I have not drawn this trend line to show you that this remains a resistance area, because there are already so many other resistance zones. There is this one, there is this one, and then there are a few others as well. We are already trading under this very major supply zone at 73k, at the previous all-time high. The reason I have drawn this is because, if you would ask me personally, with my personal experience, I can say this thing: whenever price breaks above these sort of trend lines, they are always the biggest possible breaks. The breaks above, they are quite impulsive. And usually whenever price is trading under these sort of trend lines, it's always a very compressed move. But whenever this compression just happens to give an impulsive break in one direction, it's always a very impulsive one. Okay, it's always a very quick move. Just to give you an example on this, on a very recent chart, is the example for STMX USDT. Okay, so this chart I was looking at, I actually failed to give this trade because I waited for too long. I was a little bit lazy. I should have given this trade immediately. I was a bit lazy. But once again, you had a very nice inverse head and shoulder chart pattern formed right at this bottom. But you had price, you can see, very compressed down in this zone. You can see that this is your zone. Okay, and price was actually very compressed in this zone. But at the same time, it was this trend line that price was following, and I knew that. Okay, I'm not taking the credit for this because I was not able to share it, but I'm telling you this thing. I knew that when price was trading somewhere around here, I just got a bit lazy. I should have shared it immediately, but I knew that whenever the break above happens, it's going to be a very impulsive break. The reason for this is because I have seen this happening in a quite a few occasions. Okay, even during the bear market. And it's an advice for you guys as well: whenever you see, or whenever you are able to spot a similar sort of trend line, and you have a nice inverse head and shoulder chart pattern at the bottom, you just know that the break above, it's coming, and whenever that break happens, it's going to be very impulsive break. And you can see that in this scenario as well, just in a matter of 1 week or so, price gave a 2x move. Okay, so it's quite possible the similar situation we are in on the BTC chart as well. Although the price action, it may look slightly different, the dynamics, they are extremely different, because there are so many things happening with Bitcoin. Always you have German government, you have US government, you have MT Gox, you have the ETF inflows happening, and then you have any other thing. So it's just too confusing sometimes. There are so many factors, there are so many variables in play. But the point here is that, in my opinion, whenever that break happens, yeah, exactly, we all have that moment, whenever we miss all of these moves. And I was just saying this a few days ago in my channel as well, just a day or two ago in my channel as well, that during the last 3 to 4 weeks, I have missed so many good setups. It's, I cannot blame anything. I actually have shared a very great number of setups in this month. The number was somewhere around 25-30, but I still feel like I could have shared maybe 3 times 4 times more setups, because there was so many textbook moves happening. But at the same time, you cannot overexpose yourself to the market. You cannot have like 20 different setups open at the very same time, because this would simply just be a recipe for disaster. You cannot stick to one direction or one narrative, or can have an emotional bias in one direction. Okay, so that's why I did not give too many trades. But so many different setups have played out beautifully during the past 3 to 4 weeks, that they only required a basic understanding of support and resistance. If price breaks above the resistance area, gives a consolidation, and then comes back to retest, that's where you take a long position. Once again, if you're watching the live stream, please make sure to like the live stream, and please make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. We have a decent number of viewers, but the number of likes, they are not too good. So yeah, please make sure to at least like the live stream. I would really appreciate that. So that's basically all about Bitcoin at this moment. We shall see what exactly happens at the monthly close tomorrow. It's obviously going to be a green candle. After quite some time, after the last month when we had the nice giant red candle, it's obviously going to be a green candle. But we have FOMC coming up tomorrow. It's going to be we're going into elections in September, so this is going to be a very important month in my opinion, and you would see volatility kicking in both directions. For me, the target still remains 72K. The structure, it still remains bullish. As soon as the structure change happens, I would immediately inform you guys. And who exactly would get informed? I see that a lot many people who are watching these live streams, they are not in the Discord server. All you have to do is simply just click the link in the description and join the Discord server. There would be a very nice feed in Discord. You can follow all the updates. I have 5 to 6 different channels in my Discord server where I regularly share updates, and then we have 17 to 18 different analysts, right, who regularly share their updates. But if you would like to specifically follow me, you can simply just join the Discord server, or you could simply just follow me over Twitter as well. Optional updates are shared over Twitter, but more regular feed you would have over in the Discord server. So yeah, please click the link in the description and join the Discord server as soon as possible. You would not regret doing it, okay? Because I make sure to I'm not taking once again the credit for this, but I make sure to just share regular updates with every possible price move that's happening on the chart. I try to share every update with my members in the Discord server. We already have 3,500 members in the Discord, so yeah, please make sure to join the Discord server. So we already have a few open positions. For those of you who have not taken the position for Dodge, we had a decent move. We have open position on MKR, by the way. It's only around 6%, 7% up. It's still consolidating a little bit, but we had this nice channel break happening even with the recent price drop on the rest of the charts. Even with the price drop on the rest of the charts, you can see that the rest of the altcoins, they are holding quite good. The reason for this is USDT dominance. Okay, once again, if you are in the Discord server, you would obviously know this thing because I did share the very same thing in my Discord server as well. So the reason for this is Bitcoin dominance. Okay, so in order to have any sort of altcoin rally, I was just saying this thing last night, it's not gonna happen until and unless the USDT dominance chart, on the USDT dominance chart, price breaks and closes a weekly candle below this trend line. If you guys have been watching some of my previous live streams, you would know that how exactly the liquidity buildup happens below these sort of trend lines, which means that there has been already an enough amount of liquidity buildup below this trend line, and whenever this trend line break happens, it's going to be a very impulsive one, which means that the Bitcoin dominance, it would go significantly downside. And if BTC stays green during all that time, that's when exactly you would have the altcoin rally. It's not going to happen anytime soon until and unless, once again, price breaks and closes below this trend line on the weekly time frame chart. And by the way, we had a very nice rejection on this daily 50% demand zone. This was already predicted by me. Once again, in the Discord server, I had announced that this is a 50% supply zone. That's where you would have the major rejection happening. Once again, you saw the same reaction happening around. It's very soon headed towards this daily support area, which means that ETH, it has so far been holding good in comparison to BTC, but it's not gonna happen. It's not going to be the same. If BTC keeps on being red, then eventually you would see Ethereum bleeding as well. And we have the entries for ETH as well, somewhere around $3,200 zone. So yeah, we have on the 4-hour time frame chart, we have this nice trend line being formed on the Ethereum chart, which means that whenever the break on ETH happens, it's once again going to be an impulsive break, and that's where my first entry for ETH is at $3,200 zone. So that's the update for the ETH chart. Okay, if you guys have any questions, please make sure to ask me. I have seen a lot of people calling for the bottom of the range, but I see that you're bullish. Is this because you have a break of structure? The reason I'm being bullish once again is because the market structure, we are looking on the 4-hour time frame chart, right? The invalidation, it's pretty tight. if price breaks and closes below $63,300 zone, the whole uptrend, it would simply just become invalidated. Okay, so far price is continuously making these higher highs and high lows, so there is absolutely nothing complicated about it. It's just quite simple. So show us your VWAP settings, please. Okay, so I have quite a few VWAPs. First of all, some of these are custom scripts which have been developed by myself. If you would like to have access to this custom script, you can simply once again just join the Discord server and open maybe a support ticket, or write in the general chat, and I would share this custom script with you. But the two of them, this is quarterly and yearly VWAP. The two of them are the anchored ones, and the two of them are the non-anchored ones. As you can see, this is a yearly VWAP, this is a quarterly VWAP, and these two are also your yearly and quarterly VWAP. But two of them, they are simply just anchored ones, and two of them are simply just non-anchored ones. They are slightly different from each other. So there is no setting in the VWAP indicator. All you can simply just do is to change your select a yearly VWAP or the quarterly VWAP. As you can see, there is styles tab, and then there is input tab. So if you talk about the settings of the VWAP indicator, there is absolutely nothing much to change in it. Okay, I guess that's it for today, because I have to take a few. I have an urgent call that I need to take. We would have regular live streams happening in this week. I have decided that instead of having just one live stream per week, I would be having 3 live streams per week. Okay, so this is the first one for the week, happened on Tuesday. The second one would be happening on Thursday, and the third one, it would be happening probably on Saturday or Sunday. If you would like to watch some of the other live streams, some of the other analysts doing live stream, please once again just go to the links in the description, join the Discord server, and you would have these other people, these other analysts doing daily live streams. We have daily live streams, we have real-time analysis being shared by the rest of the analysts. We have like 17 to 18 different analysts who regularly share their updates, do daily challenges and all those things. So yeah, please make sure to join the Discord server, and please make sure to follow me over Twitter as well. Okay, I would really appreciate it. That's it for today, guys. Once again, thank you so much for joining in. Take care and have a great week ahead. See you guys back on Thursday. Okay, take care. Bye bye.